We could go see. There's a delay, so I'm just waiting for it to catch up to before.
No worries.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think it's.
Oh, yeah, right.
Somebody said, "Oh, I was that once," and I said, "It's live now." Councillor White's online.
Yes.
They did all.
Yes. I think.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the Economic Development Committee meeting for today, Tuesday, the 7th of April. A warm welcome to everyone in attendance and those watching along at home tonight. We're now at the meeting open at 5:01 p.m. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we live, work, and play. We pay our respects to the Darkinjung country and elders past and present. We recognise the continued connection to these lands and waterways and extend this acknowledgement to the homelands and stories of those who also call this place home. We recognise our future leaders and the shared responsibility to care and protect our place and people. I remind councillors and all those present that your image and what you say may be broadcast live to the public, so please be mindful of your actions and your comments. You should avoid making statements that might defame or offend, and note that a recording of this meeting will be retained online and in council's archives. Please turn your mobile phones off or switch to silent. Filming and photography are not permitted in the meeting. Anyone observed filming the meeting may be asked to leave. 1.4 apologies. I've got apologies from Mayor McKenna and last minute apology from Councillor McQuaid. Here I move the following procedural motion. The committee notes the written apologies received from Mayor McKenna and Councillor McQuaid for the 7th of April 2026 meeting. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor. I'll put that motion. All those voting in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Unanimous.
We also have Councillor Wright online.
Yes, so with Councillor McKenna and Councillor McQuaid, apologies. Councillor Wright is the first alternate, and at the last minute he is home, but at the last minute he is available as alternate number 1. You've got
That's correct, yes.
I've got it. Is that number 2 that you've got there?
I'll just add it to it, yes.
Grants membership and voting rights to the alternate member, Councillor Wright, for the Economic Development Committee. And again, all those in favour?
Hang on, you have to also approve coming in.
Yes, we've got to do that.
Well, you can do it in the same motion.
You do it in the same motion. So, and number 3, or just at the end of that, and attending via video link.
I think we have to formally approve that we're.
And formally approves his attendance via video link.
Can I also make a further item number that we note that no medical certificate is required for a committee meeting?
Absolutely. You want that as number 3?
Number 4.
Okay.
3.
So let the ladies catch up first. Wait a minute. 3 is the video.
I know they've made it 2, so we can make it 3.
Oh, okay.
The numbering
And
system.
for number 3, you got that one?
That we note that
no medical certificate is required.
No, we note. Sorry, we note that for committee meetings, no medical certificate is required.
Okay.
Can we get clarification around that? Because I thought the code of conduct and the code of meeting practice are applicable to committees. So I'm not sure why we're noting that. I'm not confident that that is accurate.
I'm noting it, if that's a question to me, because the requirement under the code of practice is they or they have unexpected caring responsibilities. It doesn't specify that a medical certificate is required. And I'm just wanting to make sure that if we're going to develop a practice here, that committee means we're not requiring a medical certificate. It's consistent for everybody.
Okay, but I don't know that we are adopting that practice, are we?
Well, we are, because we just agreed to it. And we've agreed to it previously without medical certificates as well.
But the standard operating practice that was exhibited at the last council or the previous meeting seems to have altered the degree of acceptance of that, certainly in my view. So I'll be voting against that. And also, Councillor Wright has no reason not to be present. Yeah.
I was only told at 4 o'clock.
That's not
Understand.
a reason. The only valid reason for not being present is sickness or urgent care responsibilities.
Have one of those.
That's unacceptable.
So we have a motion on the floor, moved by councillor Mullen, seconded by councillor Neal.
So we do
Yeah,
have
I
the
think there-
notes, however, we'd inserted and we've just had to refresh the systems because it hasn't caught up.
Yeah, there is a bit of a problem. I assume that he was ill.
No. An alternate, and he was told, I think, at about 4 o'clock.
It's not okay.
So, Chair, are you accepting this as a way forward?
I think I might have said back in November, December, I was lenient and anybody could come in from remote.
They had a headache and then be able to not
Whatever
attend
the
the
excuse was, I
council meeting.
didn't lay out for my committee. I know that councillor Eden may have said something else. But for my committee, I was fine with people coming in remotely. But needs to be agreed around.
Yeah, I have to say, I just assumed he was ill, but I can't actually second it. If he says he's ill, I'm not going to ask about a medical certificate. But if he's not telling us he's ill, I can't second that. He's a breach of the conduct, meeting practice.
Okay, so we have
Where's councillor McGregor?
Councillor
McGregor's not there.
Councillor McGregor is not on the list for you.
He shouldn't be on there as he's
Whale the character.
He's a hard working
not in the room
councillor.
and he's not virtual either.
He's a very hard working councillor.
Okay,
So does that mean we have a call?
+1, I quorum.
Councillor Wright gets to vote on this.
Three.
Well, he's not currently present in the meeting.
Yeah, we have
And
Gets to vote on
Get to
it,
vote.
vote or not.
Very weird anyway.
Procedurally correct. Person you are talking about can vote on whether they're coming in or not. That's
Unless
correct.
they're accepted.
Yes.
Okay, it is very odd because we did that in council. Remember the first meeting we ever had with John Milton, who was overseas, he got to vote on whether he was.
Yeah.
Very well.
And John's here.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk to me.
Okay, where are we going back to with the procedural motion? Moment, we've got councillor Moreland and councillor Neal on there.
I have to withdraw my,
And if we take number 2 out,
No, Councillor Neal's withdrawing as the seconder of the motion.
only if you had number 3 in there, is that the case?
no, it's two and.
Okay, understand.
I had no problem with 3, but I had a problem with 2, but
Okay, so take the third one out. No medical certificate. Wait till it updates.
It's updated. And I'm taking out councillor Neal voting. Correct.
We'll take everything out from Karen onwards. It's changed.
I'll be pulling that out.
It's changed, okay?
sorry, we caused general confusion.
No. Or wait till the ladies catch up. And that'll take everything out after carried, including carried. So people voting right now is councillor Smith, councillor
I know I'm voting against.
voting. Councillor Smith, councillor McNamara, councillor Moreland, councillor Neal and councillor Wright. They're the
People who are able to
people
vote.
who are able to vote.
You've
Oh.
got councillor Neil as a seconder. Didn't you withdraw that?
Oh, yeah, she's still catching up.
Seconding it now.
Councillor Wright.
It's the systems they work out.
Manipulated.
Six members.
BBC.
Are we right, Director?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not in. You're for.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's still quorum.
Okay, so it was seconded by Councillor Wright.
Yes,
Okay.
that's done.
Okay. All right, so we've got Councillor Wright as seconding now. I've clarified who is voting on this. So all those in favour? All those in favour is Councillor McNamara, Councillor Moreland and Councillor Wright. Those against? Councillor Smith and Councillor Neal. Carried.
Yeah, I'll move a motion of dissent in the ruling of the chair to accept this motion when it is not consistent with the code of meeting practice or the code of conduct. So I move that.
Councillor Smith.
Time to say councillor McGregor gives his apologies.
Yes.
If you want to come to on,
Those,
he's a member.
Yeah,
He's
but we're not
alternates. Oh,
yeah.
but
Okay, in number one is for everyone who voted then. Are you okay now that we know Councillor McGregor is an apology to add Councillor McGregor into number one? Councillor Smith? As an apology, Councillor McGregor?
Well, I vote against that, so I don't. That would be to move it as a separate motion.
You move it as a separate motion?
Yeah, just to accept the apologies, yeah.
We right? We have another motion, procedural motion from Councillor Neal. Councillor Neal, seconded by Councillor McNamara. Notes the apology from Councillor McGregor for the Economic Committee meeting on 7th of April 2026. That's got to come out because
I'll take the name out of it.
okay. The name will come out of the motion on top. Now we've got another motion for the apology from Councillor McGregor. To show that moved by Councillor Neal, seconded by Councillor Moreland. Councillor Moreland now. All those in favour of the apology from Councillor McGregor? Unanimous. Okay, Councillor Smith.
Sorry, so as stated, I'll move a motion of dissent in the ruling of the chair to accept that motion when it's not consistent with the code of meeting practice or the code of conduct as it applies to this committee.
All good.
No, that's sufficient. Me talking.
Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Smith's dissent?
I think the motion is that the chairman's ruling be upheld.
Okay.
Normal.
No, the dissent needs to get decided.
That's what it is. The motion that's put to the meeting is the chair's ruling be upheld. If that's passed, the reverse is not upheld. But that's what's set out in the code of conduct and the chair.
Councillor Smith, understand. Councillor Smith, this is yours. Are you okay with what's on there?
Yeah, I'm okay with what's on there.
Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Smith's Motion. Councillor Smith and Councillor Neal. All those against? Councillor McNamara, Councillor Wright, Councillor Milland. Motion of consent is defeated. Closures of interest. I'll ask committee members to disclose any conflict of interest. Firstly, for myself, I have no conflicts. Deputy Mayor Milland.
No disclosures.
Councillor Smith.
Nothing to declare.
Councillor McGregor is out. Councillor Wright.
Nothing to declare, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Neal.
Nothing to declare.
Thank you. Confirmation of minutes. Now call a mover. Deputy Mayor Milland moves. Seconder. Councillor Smith, second. Any discussion? Now put the motion or
Can we just, sorry, I don't want to get bogged down. I do want the meeting to proceed. But we've already adopted these minutes at the council meeting. What's the clarification about governance and process around here? Is this committee adopting the minutes or is council meeting adopting the minutes? Are we adopting them twice?
So the council, my understanding of the process is the minutes from the council, from the unadopted minutes go to council for noting,
Okay.
endorsed, and then they come back to the committee for adoption. Unless there's amendments.
All right. So maybe I just need to go back and check. I'm not, is that the way it is in our council business? Or can we just confirm?
I'll need to check it and confirm it with you. Yeah.
okay, we'll move on. Now put that motion. Those voting in favour of the motion. This is for the adoption of the minutes. Yes, unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, now on to the good stuff. Item 2.1, Economic Development Strategy, Destination Management Plan and the Event Strategy. Outcomes of public exhibition for adoption. I now invite Director Mel Smith to speak to the report.
Thank you, Chair. As you may recall, these documents have been in process for over a year now. The development of these documents is a really long, very heavily engaged process with the community. Also, one of the other things that I would like to note is that there are very few councils that have tied the suite of policies together as we've done to form a suite of documents for the organisation. So what we're doing tonight is to present you with the outcomes of the public exhibition of the draft economic development strategy, the destination management plan and the events strategy as a suite of documents. To highlight how the three strategies come together to form Council's strategic framework for regional economic growth. Sorry, have I got control of this? Yeah, I have. Economic growth and to seek the committee's endorsement to finalise the strategies. So the strategies take a place-based integrated approach, recognising the connection between economic growth, visitation and place activation. Rather than planning in silos, this approach focuses on how industry, places and experiences work together to drive a stronger and more resilient regional economy. The economic development strategy focuses on industry growth, jobs and investment, supporting local businesses and attracting new opportunities. The destination management plan strengthens the region's visitor economy and destination brand, encouraging people to visit, stay and spend. The event strategy activates places and drives vibrancy, visitation and local spend, creating reasons for people to come and engage with the region. So just by way of background, over the past year, as I mentioned earlier, we've undertaken very extensive consultation with a whole raft of different cohorts within the community externally. The Consultation was very extensive and included community, state agencies, regional partners, business leaders and internal staff. Over 1,000 people provided feedback through face-to-face engagement activities across 5 pop-up events. The feedback from the community was positive and engaging right across all events. Council staff attended roundtable meetings that were held by Business New South Wales's Advisory Council to ensure that the proposed strategies and priorities aligned with the business leaders of the Central Coast. Workshops were held with the regional agency partners to discuss the theme and priorities for the economic development strategy and to participate in designing the action plan. The level of engagement has provided a strong and representative evidence base to inform the final strategies. So as you can see by the numbers up on the screen at the moment, there was heavy engagement and involvement. So just to touch, I'll do that. Jumped ahead, I'm going the wrong way, am I? So just to touch on some of the insights that will go a little bit deeper with you around the feedback that we heard through the engagement process. There was a really strong expectation on place-based delivery. So strong expectation for visible place-based outcomes, particularly revitalising town centres and activating key precincts across the Central Coast. Strong alignment, so broad-based support for overall strategic direction with consistent agreement on the need to strengthen coordination and deliver a more integrated approach. Tangible and practical outcomes, so expectation that the delivery aligns with community and industry needs, shifting from aspirational positioning towards practical on-the-ground delivery. Coordinated delivery, so need for stronger alignment between planning, infrastructure, investment and delivery to support growth and deliver outcomes. Vibrant local economy, so recognition of the role of events, visitation and businesses in driving economic activity, supporting activation and strengthening the region's identity. Environment and sustainability, so the natural environment was very strongly identified as a key asset, underpinning livability, visitation and long-term economic growth across the region. I will now hand over to Sue, who will take you through individual.
The greatest part of this process in interacting with both the broader community and the regional partners that we deliver, as well as business, was the importance that place-based action, and particularly revitalising the towns and having those activations was really, really important. It was very, very strongly supported. The other component of that was also strengthening, the visitor and nighttime economy, so where that was appropriate, and that with the natural environment, it's recognised as a really core economic asset that we protect, as well as help to promote and attract visitation and people coming to our region to live here, visit, and also think about bringing their businesses to the Central Coast. There was a lot of conversation around being realistic in terms of having achievable outcomes. And part of what you'll see with the economic development strategy was that we had made a number of changes to those outcomes that were realistic in conversation with both business leaders and the partners that will be assisting, in the delivery of the economic development strategy, not just around the economic development strategy, but also considering destination management and event strategy at the same time. We had the conversation more robust around all 3 strategies each time we were engaging, rather than just doing them individually. A better alignment between growth and enabling infrastructure, particularly transport, parking and services, was another key insight that we got from a lot of the, particularly those that were concerned around how town centres operate and how our CBD operates with Gosford, but also right across where where activation is happening. It's important that those things are considered with growth. The other thing we had was that there was a really important opportunity for us to strengthen that visitor and nighttime economy. I think I did talk about it a little bit beforehand, but that was just within that, town centres. But what does it feel like when you come and visit the Central Coast, and how are people participating in those activations? The other part of the feedback was about, again, the importance that the Central Coast natural environment is a consistent theme across all three strategies, and it was recognised as a key asset, like I said, around livability, visitation and economic growth. The other component was the important point that we can't do it on our own, and the partnerships are critically important for us to deliver on economic development, so we can't do that in isolation. Part of that workshop that we did with the partners was make sure that we were looking at their alignment to what they were delivering from a state level or their agency. How does that work within economic development outcomes that we're trying to seek for the region? How do we collectively do that together? And we want to bring back to the committee terms of reference that's agreeable for council as well as with those regional partners, so that it's a continuation. If one person who's currently in that role leaves, that there's a commitment that that agency will continue to work with the Central Council in delivering against those outcomes that are particularly important in areas that council can't control, but enable those discussions, but we can't necessarily always control some of those outcomes, and it's important that they're partners with us.
And that will form part of the action plan that will come back to the May.
That's right. So across that, this final strategy that we're presenting to the committee, the outcomes have been refined. They're supported with measurable indicators, and we've really clearly defined that so that we can track the success over time. I think that's the most important piece of having indicators that are actually, we can actually track that change and be building that into the action plan as well. Destination management plan, again, really strong support. Just need to change the slide. Sorry.
Bad driver. It's like very bad driver.
There was really strong community support for the destination management plan. A lot of the engagement we did with the community was at pop-up events. And it's not always an ideal way to do that, but in that period of January or February, it's hard to get people's attention to come and talk about strategies. We did an approach where we sort of turned the online survey to a face-to-face pop-up and asked people to tell us where they'd like to see events happening at different regions across the coast, but also what do they want to see out of destination management? What does it actually mean? What would they like to see improved? So we hadn't missed too much of what we had put in the draft destination management plan. It aligned to what people were seeking. They talked again around placemaking in town centres, another strong theme that came even out of destination management plan, but also strengthening that local identity and activate residents and visitors. It's not just about the visitors coming to our region, that should be there for residents as well, so that became a continuing event or activity that they can participate in. We talked about building a safe and vibrant 24-hour visitor economy. That was very important. Having high quality and diverse accommodation to support things like events and arts and cultural and heritage activations was really important in delivering economic benefits and enhancing that community. And really the changes to the strategy have only been minor in terms of the destination management plan. It's just got a greater emphasis on coordination so that it links back to the events, back to the destination management plan, back to the economic development strategy. So, but also looking at opportunities for high impact tourism.
So as Sue mentioned with both the two previous documents, the event strategy, similarly, there was a very strong theme around place-based activations and around strengthening the nighttime economy. So it's really evident that our community are invested in their village, if you like, or town centres. So again, we've made sure that we've strengthened those throughout all three documents. The feedback for the event strategy was very supportive of the strategic direction. There was strong recognition of the value of events. So the community and the business community had a lot of recognition that that major events are a very large draw card and create that vibrancy of the region where people want to come and visit. So again, it's about events supporting local economic activities, strengthening community connection and enhancing the region's identity. There was also a strong agreement that events need to be planned and delivered in a more coordinated, consistent and sustainable way. So how do we tie them together? How do we do a whole range of things that actually support the attraction of major events to the Central Coast and support for events to activate town centres? So again, back to that very place-based identity focus for the community. Support for businesses and deliver the place-based outcomes across the region. So a lot of the outputs or outcomes that we have said that we will deliver in the event strategy are things like identifying where are the large parcels of land where major events can be held and getting the longer term blanket DAs so that organisations aren't hamstrung by bureaucratic red tape, which is one of the biggest turn-offs for anyone who wants to hold a major event. One of the first things here is too bureaucratic. It's too tied up in red tape. So there's a lot of actions in there that help to unravel some of that bureaucracy and sort of move aside some of that red tape and take a more proactive approach to actually going out and attracting events to the Central Coast. At the moment, we sit back and we wait for people to approach us. So it's flipping that and developing a much more proactive approach. So what can we do to entice large event deliverers to the Central Coast as opposed to where they might currently their event?
Got a question now.
You can give me.
Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just on the streamlined events DAs, it's something we've spoken about a fair bit. Is there a sort of ETA on when that might go live? Like, for example, I know a few councils would be familiar with the Funhouse Factory, who runs their annual event down at Yamina, has raised as an ongoing issue that they're filling in the same documents every year. We've had similar for the entrance. When do you think that streamlined process will come into effect?
It's an action for year one of the strategy once it's adopted by council. So we'll be working with environment planning to make sure that that's a very high priority in year one.
627 or
26-27.
Thank you.
Director.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll hand back over to Sue to talk about the feedback and how it shaped the strategies.
Well, across all three strategies, it was about getting stronger clarity and alignment. I think that was the big key thing that we heard from the community, but also deliverability. Like, don't have another big strategy and it doesn't really get delivered if there's nothing happening. You can't see what that looks like, and they want to see that on, more on a regular basis. So we had thought about what the process looked like, and action plans over 1 year are actually quite solid. They give us opportunity to be a bit flexible if opportunities do come through, in different times of the year, that we can actually be a bit more flexible and adaptable. It's 100% got to be informed around that strategic partnership, because we cannot do it on our own. Council can't deliver against economic outcomes without actually having partners on board, and that's the important piece that came and informed the final strategies. Practically, feedback's been consistently applied across all three documents. We've refined, each strategy's been refined to be more focused and implementable. I know that's a funny word, but it's sort of like the outcomes are clearer under economic development strategy. The tourism is more strategic in its deliverables and what it's going to be actually able to achieve. And that streamlined delivery for events was the important piece about getting that done first. But across all of them, environmental values have been embedded in all three strategies, showing that there's alignment between the three of them.
Do you? Yeah. I'm just sort of thinking, one of the things I guess we often find is that when these sorts of things are, people still think, oh, well, I've just got this event down my, at the park down my front of the entrance, whatever. They don't necessarily tie it in with the fact that it's part of destination management strategy. And I'm just wondering whether with some of the promotion, because it might, I mean, you may well have, so I'm sure you have, that with some of the promotion for these things, I know we have Central Coast proudly, Central Coast Council logo on there, but whether there's also a way of making it clear kind of where it sits with Central Coast Council without it sort of turning into something monstrous on the promotion. But to me, it makes sense for people then to be able to know that well, that is actually part of a strategy. It's part of a plan, and that's why this event is happening here today. And I don't know. It seems to me one worth thinking about.
I think it's just the way we deliver the message back to the community about the importance of why these things are happening here locally, how they build to support economic outcomes for the region, how it supports small business to keep them viable, because that is, particularly for events, if people are coming in, they're spending locally, money staying here locally. And we're going to talk about data very briefly, because we think that needs to inform how we tell the story for economic development.
I think there's two things in there. I think as part of the action plan and as tying the three documents together, the communication strategy that falls out of those,
that's
launch them, publicise them. So that's the starting point. Yeah. But ensuring that the continuation of that messaging is carried all the way.
That's what I'm really, you can announce something sort of once or twice, but everybody forgets about it after that, to be perfectly honest. So
the other mechanism too is when we develop the action plans and bring them back to the committee, it's having that scorecard that's visible to the community.
Yes.
What are the deliverables out of each of these strategies? So if we bring that back once a quarter or twice a year to report against the outputs and the outcomes, then that gives an opportunity again for there to be some visibility around the marriage of the three strategies.
And just in terms of the actual practicalities, I've heard the message on the action plans, which is great. I think that's really important. When do you think that will be coming to the committee?
When I get to the next slide, which is next steps, I will talk you through that one. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag with. So, next steps, the Regional Economy Strategy Suite, which is the three documents, will go to Council for consideration on 28th of April. So, the April Council, April Council meeting. The action plan will come back to Council, to the Economic Development Committee in May, and will then subsequently go to Council on the 26th of May. That's in order for to the operational plan and budget that are on the exhibition. Following adoption, all the documents will be published on Council's website. So you will see annually an action plan come to the economic development in May to be reviewed against the strategies. So that'll be the one where there's a big conversation around what did we achieve that we committed to achieve in the previous financial year? What are we committing to achieve in the subsequent financial year? And is that in the budget? So do you have adequate budget to deliver those, or is it partnerships, and how do those partnerships work?
Can I just say, in relation to an action plan, one of the things that has occurred to me quite recently, I've said this a long time ago, is people who have major events and want help and how to organise it, they can go to. I mean, I know we have an office in the entrance, a tourism office, but I assume they don't provide that sort of support.
So for event producers,
people who, for example, I've got someone I'm in contact with who's trying to get a WOW, which is a pretty major event. And they contact me and say, oh, what possible source of funds might be. So whenever I see a grant that might, I'll send it off to them. It's all fine. It really would be great if there was somewhere formally within the council, not just that event, but others.
So there will
Help them
be,
along the way.
yeah. So as part of the action plan, there will be a resource within council staff that will manage that process and direct. So they'll concierge, they will nurse a person through the process. Once we develop the suite of sites that have been identified and we get those DAs in place, we'll be able to easily give people a list and say, here's a site that you might want to consider. These are all the forms of documentation that you will require in order for you to lodge an application to hold a special event. We will assist you in that process and they'll be walked through the process.
That's very good. Thank you. Yeah, because most people, even if they're reasonably intelligent, they've never done it before, they have no idea.
We're getting there.
Anything else?
Any questions?
Any more questions, Councillor Smith?
So thank you for all of that. I have to confess I need to go back and read it in more detail, but at first glance, I'm very positive about the document, so thank you for the work. I may abstain just because I feel like I need to read it in more detail. I guess one of the things, and I think, Director, you sent around a track changes version of some changes that have been made. I couldn't really see how the commentary in the report that talks about things like nature, which obviously I have a particular interest in, have been changed in the documents. It wasn't clear looking at those track changes. So I would be interested, and I think those track changes was just for the economic strategies. Like, I don't think we received one for the other two strategies. Yeah. So could we get that? I'd just like to go through that again, if that's okay. Another thing, and again, I didn't read the economic strategy with this lens, but I guess I'm asking it now, just partly because of our fuel and our COVID. Does it have a focus on that local supply, local business in it? It didn't jump out at me when I looked at it, but was it there? Is it there? And is that something that as an Economic Development Committee we should, I mean, I hate to suggest changes at this late stage, but to me it strikes.
It is in there.
Yeah,
it is in the document and we can refer you to the page. Yeah.
Yep, that would be great because I really think as a council we should strengthen that.
It also includes like buy local campaigns. So, for example, we pivoted just recently with that fuel crisis and actually turned around conversation for just even the Easter and school holidays opportunities to travel to the region, but we can do that by public transport and places you can go. We've done the same thing with the buy local campaign. We're in phase 2 of the buy local campaign, and that's enticing locals to come and spend locally, shop locally, come to try some of those smaller businesses necessarily than just the big shopping centres.
That's the marketing strategy.
Yeah, I suppose I'd like to see it as, not saying that it's not intention, that it's really embedded as a council that we are trying to grow local businesses, get local businesses to thrive by servicing the Central Coast and the Sydney and the Newcastle markets.
And it's heavily in there, but what we'll do is after the meeting, we'll refer you to the pages and the paragraphs that have it.
Can I also ask, just with the events, and this is just a question that again comes from looking at the strategy, and I guess seeing all the motions that come to us about big sporting events, do we give equal time to looking at those cultural events, those big other events? Sporting's great, and I'm not at all critical of our mayor and his particular interest, his flagging. Flying the flag, but I think when I go out and talk to people, they in arts and culture, and I won't name names, they do grumble that yes, if we're not a sporting event, then we don't get a lot of support. And I'm not saying specifically from council, just in general, that we're not getting the ear of or the support we need. Yeah.
So there will be a shift in focus. Yeah. At the moment, we're not proactive in going and looking for large-scale events to come to the Central Coast. We're actually being approached, and predominantly or historically, time I've been here, which is 4 years now, that's sporting
Yeah.
events that tend to come knocking on our door. When we flip over to a more proactive approach, it will be across the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
So it'll be, talking to people like Sculptures by the Sea, talking to people like Vivid, talking to people like a whole raft of things that we believe that we could position ourselves to be an attractor to either extend those events or perform.
So I'd really like to see, and I don't think that's going to happen overnight because we don't have the numbers, we don't have the capacity in terms of audience, but I'd really like to see us support our strong cultural sector on the Central Coast a bit more by chasing some of that a little bit and growing it over time.
And that is a definite aim. It's an action out of the event strategy that adopted and start moving forward.
Okay. And my last thing is, can we just get a plain text version of these strategies and resolution of council? And I would find it a lot easier to read than all the pretty pictures, although they are pretty.
We can definitely send those to you.
Yeah. Before this goes to council.
There is actually a pretty good event, just out of interest, called Words on the Waves.
Yes, I know. I bought my weekend ticket already.
Which is fantastic. I won't be here, but
And do you know council would not take that on board? They've approached it, so I'm really
as I understand, they are supported.
Heard of it.
They are now, but I have to get council support.
Right.
Anyway, it's great.
Director.
I'll just jump back to a question that you asked earlier, and that was about the reference to local. On page 24 of the strategy, outcome number 1.2. Heading is local businesses are growing, innovating and creating sustainable employment opportunities, and it goes deeper into how we will support that.
Fantastic, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
That's all, Councillor Smith? Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Millen.
Just quickly, Mr. Chair, I just want to say thank you to the staff. I think this.
You're a huge team.
I was about to say that too. Thanks, Councillor Neil. I think this committee set the bar really high, and I think the community had no expectations from council in delivering a much enhanced document. Not being well, over the Easter weekend, I did get a chance to read through it again and see how far it's come over a year. Something that I'm proud that this committee has helped to deliver. Thank you because to the staff. But having that suite of documentation, I think the community has wanted that for a long time. It made sense, and for some reason, council wouldn't entertain that previously. The feedback from the community has been excellent, and I think the staff and the subcommittee should be very proud in what we're about to adopt for the next 5 years. So congratulations. And to Councillor Neil's point, we know you've lost staff for 4 months. 2 people here tonight.
Other team.
Yeah, other teams. So congratulations and thank you.
Any questions? Other questions?
Yeah, very pleased that we're looking forward to the action plans because that's really the juicy bit of it.
That's where the rubber hits the road.
Come to the main meeting, yeah?
So I would just like to acknowledge that we have had staff from a number of teams across the organisation really heavily invested and involved in this. Bianca's here tonight, so
Well done.
big shout out to Bianca.
Yes.
And members of the events team, members of other teams, strategic planning, our social planner. So it's been a whole of team effort, and part of the length of the process was getting everybody on board to actually see that the sweet marriage of the three is the way to deliver.
Good vote, Councillor Eaton.
Thank you, Chair. So once these strategies are adopted, do they then come into our planning regime as well? I suppose, give you an example, I was talking to the director earlier today, that it was a very significant greenhouse that the staff have refused up at the fridge, and yet the strategy itself acknowledges that large greenhouses are good employment, something that we should encourage in our rural areas. So I'm just seeing if there's a linkage between And it's not in place yet, so can't criticise anyone yet, but will that then feed back into influencing the staff on some of these issues?
So can I just raise a concern that I don't know that that's an appropriate point for this committee to consider? That would seem to be trying to influence operational consideration of
We understand. Councillor Eaton's asked a question the director doesn't have to answer, or
I think it's policy. I don't think it's.
I don't know. Director
So
or director.
I can answer that, councillors. No, unless the economic strategy finds its way into council's planning framework, then it's not a matter for consideration and determination of a DA.
Understand. Okay, any other questions around the table? So we've got moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor.
Chair, could I just
Yes.
ask that we tweak that a little bit just after the various confusion about what goes to council and what doesn't go to council? Can we just change it, say that the committee recommends that council, 1, notes the outcomes of public consultation, 2, endorses the proposed amendments, and 3, could just be that council adopts. Just
Understand. So 3 recommends to council, but director? The only reason why we got 3 is the recommends to council rather than starting it with that?
no, we can reorder those so that the recommendation 3 becomes recommendation 1. That the committee recommends that council. The other 2 flow on
from it.
And just to be clear, I won't always ask that change. I just think part 1, the outcomes of public exhibition and the proposed amendments are something that other councillors may want to look at and consider. I won't be applying that as a standard rule. Yeah.
I understand. I mean, coming halfway in, yeah, so that's number 1 now, and 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3. Okay, so Deputy Mayor, Councillor Neal.
Did we just lose something?
No, we're just
coming
it's
back.
a lag.
Turning.
Thank you.
Can we just wait till it comes up before we may finally agree to it? We don't agree to something in that stage.
We're just waiting for the system to catch up.
Is that the committee council? I need to.
The last bit should actually be
First bit.
The Roman numerals should be. We're just waiting for the numbering to be fixed.
So you'd have Roman numeral 1 as recommendation 1, and then the others 1.
Do 1, 2, 3, 4.
There, I'll change that up.
Again, we're just updating the numbers at the moment.
so 1, 2, 3, and 4 Roman numeral are going to be the recommendations. The others aren't because 1, 2. Or if the council, if the council.
And that's good as it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah. Recommends.
Councillor Merland,
Yeah, I'm happy.
Councillor
On
Neal,
the bottom, can we pull up the little
push it down a bit, yeah.
very suspicious?
It's 3, 4, 5 and 6 now, okay, they're separate.
Sort of nice the way it was before. You know what I mean? Like, because they all. I'm sorry. Can we go back to where it was with the subsections under 3?
3, 4, 5 and 6 as number 1, and then the Roman numerals as each of those points.
Do you want 1 and 2 to be recommendations to
Lovely.
council?
Yeah.
They can say that.
How it
was
last
At the start.
What?
Or if you would put the committee first, so that number 3 could recommend to council.
Number 3 could just say that council, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Recommends that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take staff recommendation there.
What do we do? What are we changing it to?
Just changing it.
Would you like to go back to how originally?
There's the. Yeah.
That's
1,
3, 4 and 5 come out.
just revert it back to the original recommendation for the.
Updated that.
It's coming up.
Up the top we have now, the committee recommends that council notes, then endorses, and then notifies.
3. 6 becomes 3.
6 becomes 3.
Yes.
Oh, no.
It's not quite right.
No, we've got,
We'll sort it out at council.
Yeah, okay, we know.
All right, so moved councillor Millen, seconded councillor Neil.
I'm sorry, but
Oh.
the 3 is not what the other things are under.
It just, 3 just says that council and then leave the rest as is. That would be fine, I think. Because you've got notifies down at 4. Yeah. Then just leave 1, 2, 3, 4 underneath it.
Okay, just wait for that to be updated.
It's still clumsy, but.
Greenhouse, the submission.
Sorry.
Revenue stay.
Okay. The council notifies, number 3 now is the council notifies. Oh, that's sorry, that's not it.
It should just say that council.
Recommends.
The council, that's all it needs to says. Says.
That is 2 words, that council.
Under number 4.
There. You want.
Yeah, I can change all.
Put it in the wrong place.
Mm,
Are we going back to this?
That is the original.
Bit about notifies those who made submissions should have above number 3. Just making sure.
Up 4.
Yes,
So that initials, it was.
no, but we should be. It doesn't have to be.
Ah, yeah.
It'll fix up those no Roman numerals.
Picking up the Roman numerals.
The line after recommends the council One says notifies those made already in as the last one. So one needs to. Okay, we're nearly there. Just the numbering needs to be updated. Number 3 will be recommends that council, then it adopts, then places the final adopted strategies and develops final executive summary, then notifies those. So they'll be the 1, 2, 3, 4 in Roman numerals for 3.
The chair, can we allow the staff to do it offline and?
Okay, everyone know we're right to vote on this? We know what we're going to end up with?
Yes.
Okay, those in favour?
I want to vote in favour, but do we still need somebody to vote against so that councillors can call it up?
We will call this up, don't worry, yes. This is very significant. Unanimous, thank you. Okay, we move on to 2.2, outcomes of public exhibition and adoption of second phase employment land strategy. Invite Director Smith.
I will invite Nicole.
I'm going to ask. I'm passing this all the way down.
It's like passing the present out.
Yes, so we have a quick overview
analogies.
presentation for councillors that's going to become Scott Duncan, the relevant section manager.
Thanks, Scott. Before you start, just to start, please note Councillor Wright has left the meeting. He's had to go to prison. Okay, thanks, Scott.
Do we still have a call?
Yes.
175 pages, let's try and find it.
Here, it's
Right, yell out to us.
just got a presentation that just provides an overview of the employment land strategy and background report. So I guess the purpose of the presentation, it's we're really seeking get this document endorsed by council. It's also providing an update on the results of our community consultation and stakeholder consultation program. So our employment lands strategy, it was done by Hill PDA, it's quite a reputable consultant.
That's a relief.
So they've done quite a good job on this. So we've actually been doing a lot of refinements to the document post-exhibition. We've also met with a lot of other people that made submissions of the document too. So the document that's attached to the council report or the committee report is the post-exhibition version of those changes. But in terms of why our employment lands are important, so they provide a third of our jobs to the Central Coast, so they're quite significant from an employment generation point of view. So it's important to keep a pipeline of employment lands available, which is in a development state, industrial land, somewhere to go. So it's anticipated that the Central Coast population will increase by another 57,000 by the year 2041. So, that's why it's land set aside for employment that has the necessary infrastructure in place. It's also been planned to support those future uses. So the employment land strategy, it has a number of strategies and actions so that we can protect those employment land areas and expand the employment lands as well, ensure that we're aligned with infrastructure and our business needs as well. We've included a map in the presentation. That map just shows the distribution of our employment lands on the Central Coast. That's our existing employment lands. It doesn't show future employment lands. But essentially the employment lands just apply to our E3 productivity zone, our E4 general industrial zone, working waterfront zone, and SP4 zones. So essentially it's your business parks and your industrial estates. It doesn't include your business and commercial zone lands in town centres. Those business and commercial lands will be that separate strategy, which will bring to the committee. That's basically a commercial land strategy. So I just wanted to make that point. And on the Central Coast, we've got, I think it's 2,180 hectares of employment land on the Central Coast, but there's only about 900 hectares of that which is undeveloped. But a lot of that undeveloped land, it lacks services, or it has biodiversity constraints or other physical constraints, so it's not immediately available to development. So we want to make sure that there's strategies in place to increase that supply of development land. So in terms of the results of our community consultation that we undertook in the exhibition last year, a lot of the points on the employment land strategy, they weren't necessarily directed at the employment land strategy, but they reflected this concerns about planning, outdated planning controls, delays in the DA process, frustrations in dealing with biodiversity matters and flooding impacts, and also a lack of infrastructure. There was also some concerns about the need to broaden municipal land uses around the Mount Penang employment precinct, which we've taken on board the strategy. And there were also quite specific requests from landowners too, to look at additional employment lands in some locations like Charmhaven, Crangan Bay, Summersby and Wallara. I think there was also a specific landowner concerned with the site at Dawson where they didn't want to go to employment, they wanted to go to residential. So there were those sorts of site-specific considerations that we also looked at as part of the strategy that we put forward. There was also some general concerns about the Summersby industrial estate and Mount Penang land use conflicts expansion.
Just need to use your cursor
On your
not
laptop.
the clicker
On your laptop, Scott.
on your laptop.
So the draft strategy was publicly exhibited from the 12th of June to the 23rd of July last year. We received 11 submissions from community members and 11 submissions from government agencies. And we also undertook some stakeholder engagement as well through social media and sessions as well. So all of the submissions that were considered been considered in final strategy. We've also included some additional commentary on the draft Central Coast Strategic Conservation Plan, which was placed on exhibition late last year as well. I think that the draft Central Coast Strategic Conservation Plan, that will actually be quite an important document which will help unlock a lot of existing employment land and some future employment land as well. There's quite a lot of that land identified for employment, which is proposed to be certified. So that will help bring more of that land into that development ready category. So that's really my presentation. We're basically, seeking committee to take it to council, and we're also seeking potential approval of the Department of Planning too, because if we get a state government approval this strategy, it sort of gives some additional credibility as a document.
And Scott, there was another presentation we had, I think it was last week, about the hazards and risks. I think I asked the director at the time that was taken into account in the land strategy. And I'm sure his answer was yes, it is. Do you know how it's taken, or is it just referenced? That is an issue to look at.
You're referring to the recent SIP?
It's the SIP.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did look at opportunities, constraints and hazards, like when we did the analysis on employment lands. So we looked at things like bushfire, we looked at flooding. A lot of the employment lands aren't subject to coastal planning issues. So we did our own constraints analysis based upon the constraint data we had at the time, background study, but this document was actually done for that set policy. Now,
Thanks, mate. Questions? Real good.
In the community consultation slide that you had, it was mentioned that there was phrase was uncertainty on biodiversity matters and flood impacts. Can we more maybe is that what was that uncertainty about? What were people kind of suggesting or concerned about? Are you?
Yeah, I guess some of the feedback we had through submissions related to landowners that had zoned employment land, yet their land also endangered ecological communities, threat species, wildlife corridors. And whilst they had an employment zone, it's still difficult for them to realise that. And also some of those sorts of concerns were expressed in some of the submissions we received.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Eaton.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. So you talked about the conservation plan, but it also got a existing zone currently as it is basically non-developable.
Yeah, so the strategic conservation plan, it identifies land for certification that affects existing zoned employment land, residential land as well, and it also affects some areas that will be rezoned in the future, shown in development precincts. So it's both of those categories. It's both future land and existing.
Any other questions, Councillor Smith?
Thank you. Scott, you mentioned that some individual landowners had approached about their land. How's probity been managed around that? Like, is there a list of which landowners, what the outcome of that discussion was?
In terms of the submissions, we've just summarised the submissions on an issues basis.
I thought you said there were direct approaches, landowners.
Well, there were some submissions were made by landowners. We also met with some of those landowners that made submissions in order to talk about some of the points that they raised. Post-exhibition.
So is there a table or something of what the outcome of that was? Strategy change?
A table in documents, the post-exhibition changes that were made. Strategy.
Where's that? Sorry.
If you look at the mission team, amendments to the employment land strategy background report, there's a couple of pages in that table which is about.
Sorry, I'm getting lost in this massive document. Know what page that is in the attachments? Or?
It's actually in the main part of the report.
Right.
They're summarised in the
What
main
page in the report?
179, I think it starts.
and they're also summarised in the attachments as well. Yeah, but there's two attachments, to summary of the issues raised.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Just one
Councillor Neal.
Summersby industrial land recently had issues with developing portions of it, or is that still the case?
Yeah, there's still significant constraints over parts of the Summersby industrial estate. Still areas that are constrained, even with the draft Central Coast Strategic Biodiversity Certification Plan. There's still significant areas that have biodiversity constraints, and there's also some Aboriginal site constraints as well. There's also the existing Summersby too.
What proportion are we talking?
I have to take.
Half, a third, 10%. I don't need the exact figure. I'm just trying to get a feel for it.
I probably have to
Maybe.
take that on notice too.
Okay, that's fine.
Understand. One sec, councillor. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll swap.
So referring to your last question in regards to the table,
Yes.
feedback starts on page 179 of the agenda of tonight's meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Smith.
Just that Summersby Industrial Estate, there hasn't been any change to that plan of management that's been ongoing for the last 10, 20 years, is there?
Yeah, that's correct. It was that document was endorsed by the
Yeah,
board.
so there's no proposed change to that. Are we still getting dedication of land? Is that sort of fully done, that Summersby Industrial?
I think there's still a number of sites that
Thank you.
I guess environmental sites that are still held under private industrial estate.
Recommendation.
I think there are mechanisms within the
You want this?
strategic conservation plan. Well, that education and some funding mechanisms that are both available are clear at the moment.
All right, thank you.
Mr Chair, I'm happy to move to report.
Okay,
Jane wants to.
sorry.
Jane wants to.
Okay, we got moved by Deputy Mayor Molan, seconded by Councillor Neal. We have the recommendation. We all good to go? We are. Those in favour?
We've got the right number.
Yeah, we're right numbers this time. Those against? Sorry, those for were Councillor Neal, Deputy Mayor Molan and Councillor McNamara. Those against? Councillor Smith. Carried. Move on to a update on the 2.3, the Future Economic Insights reporting.
So this is just a very light update on where we're up to with that one. So you will recall the quarterly insights reporting came to the committee on a number of occasions, and the external partners have identified, as well as the committee identifying to us, external partners have identified that it's been underutilised and wasn't a very helpful tool and wasn't delivered as effectively as it could be in order to gain more traction and more usability by the industry. So we've undertaken some engagement with regional partners and businesses and listened to the messaging that has come back from them. So the messaging clear back to us is the data is valuable and useful, but needs to be presented in a way that is easy to read and interpret. If you remember, there was a whole bunch of graphs that were really hard to follow and really hard to understand. So as a result of that, we've been doing a review. We started off nationwide, looking at other local governments and how they present their dashboards and which ones are useful and which ones aren't. We've narrowed that down to two that we believe are very useful and very informative, but we need to do some further exploratory work to understand what the pillars are in data that they have access to. So the intention is that by the June meeting, we'll bring that back to the committee in a draft. We will also have two mock-ups of dashboards to show you what that user experience might look like, and the data sets that we're able to incorporate into the dashboards so that you get some visual understanding and you can have a play with it and a practice with it and see the usability of it. That's as far as we've gotten so far. Just wanted to give you an update.
Thanks for the update.
Mr Chair, thank you first. I know I've been openly critical about that data previously. What I'm hoping to see when it's presented again, not only a really good quality data set, but also what it means for our region. I think that's a real missing piece. But it's great to have the data, but if we haven't got somebody looking at that data about how we can apply it as a council and as leaders in our communities, it's really important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the two that we're looking at the moment, Hong Kong and Hobart, and they seem to be very user-friendly and they give context around it. Again, we need to present data in a way that is meaningful for sole traders all the way through to major corporations. So it's got to be digestible information within context of the region.
Thank you for the update. No recommendation there. Moving on to item 3.1, one of our business precinct master plan standing item. The director and I'll talk to
Bill.
Bill. Come forward.
Good evening. We just wanted to provide an update on the progress report of the Waterville Business Precinct Master Plan. At this stage, we have been currently working through the list for the accelerated feasibility program that we committed to back in August last year. We've worked through some concept subdivision plans in regards to...
Sign that up, Bill.
Just get rid of. I'll do this. Okay.
Thank you.
We've been working through some concept subdivision plans on what the size of the site will look like within the areas that are actually developable. There is a lot of conservation area on the outside of that subdivision to the left, which is the green. Obviously forms part of the larger biodiversity stewardship agreement, which falls into Porters Creek. We've also got sites allocated at the top with what it would look like with the historical proposed aquatic centre, and then I'll think about that there as well.
So where is the aquatic? Sorry to interrupt you.
At what we would call the north side at the very top, which is right next to Lake Scrammer. And all up there are 32 sites that we could possibly get out of that in regards to what the concept may look like.
Bigger those sites, Bill?
Some of them vary, but usually around about 3,000 square metres per site. The very large one at the top is 25,000 square metres. And then there is still areas, which is the green area, which is proposed park, and further down the bottom as well, which is also proposed park as well. All up, it's about 16.1 hectares that is available under that concept. So we have been working through those different areas. And then we've also done some market analysis in regards to different scenarios. So currently that land is zoned as SP4 enterprise. So our valuation that we received in November 2025 would value that land at about $12 to $16 million. We did have a look at E3, which gives it a little bit more flexibility in regards to whether that's light industrial, but really it sort of sits the same in regards to valuation. Then we moved to number 3, which would be water, sewer and power available to those sites, and that would push us up towards 20 to 24. And then if we were to go the full DA for subdivision approval, it's somewhere between 24 to 28. For the process, we also wanted to make sure that maybe residential R1. Residential R1 sits slightly lower in regards to value as is. However, as we start to do all the way up to DA, it does give you a higher value. So what we're working through at the moment, we've given those concept subdivision plans to consultants in regards to civil, being able to get an understanding of how much it would actually cost council to be able to do the water, sewer, electricity. And then what we propose to bring back to the Economic Development Committee at this stage by the 2nd of June is those different scenarios. So what it would cost just to sell the land, what it would cost for council to undertake the works in regards to water, sewer, electricity, and then what it would also cost in regards to the DA, and having a look at what the value would be between that cost and selling it and how long that time would take as well. And then giving those scenarios merit based on what we have capacity and ability to do, to make sure that we get the best value out of the property. The last thing we'd want to do is sell it without any works being done, without considering that cost and someone else making the money off the back of that.
What's that, Bill?
Bill, just a quick one. Can we also have a look at the opportunity cost as well? So if we're looking at the cost of, can we just go back one slide? Maybe scenario 1 or 2 compared to 4. If we can bring that employment land to market more quickly about selling it at stage 1 or stage 2, can we also have a report coming back? Because it was going to take council 10 years to service that land. But we know if we sell it for $16 million and we can get jobs there within 18 months, I think this committee would really appreciate that information as well.
We'll also look at the risk part of it, which is what brought back over here, is also those types of risks in regards to how long those works would take with the capacity that we've got with a program, capital works program that's already been approved over a 4-year period. So we'd have to take that into consideration as well, rather than just saying council could spend the $5 million. However, it's not part of our 4-year capital program. And then do we actually have capacity to be able to deliver on that 4-year capital program? And then what does that do? Does that push that project out to another 7 to 10 years? So we need to take that into consideration, absolutely.
Councillor Nell.
I'm interested in the size that you've decided to divide it into. Is there evidence that that size is in demand?
Yeah, correct, there is. Yeah. So Colliers, who do our market evaluation, will have a look at sites that are under demand in regards to what is the total size of site that we're getting demand for in regards to the coast, but also in regards to where you're going to get your best square meterage value per dollar per square meterage. So if we had smaller sites, they may actually say that's only going for $12 on the market, and there doesn't seem to be.
That's $12 per square metre, rather. It's not $12, is it?
No, it was just an example. And therefore, so the larger sites, for example, there may be demand for those, but you're also able to get a high square meterage because of that demand. So they have a look through the different sites. The one
that's quite large compared to a lot of industrial sites that are existing.
And some of them vary. If I can just try.
You said that one up the top, what is that?
That's 25. That one was for some of them are sitting at 2,400. Some of them at 2,200. Some of them are larger at 3. So they're just looking at the best value, and also when you've got more sites, it gives you more flexibility as well in regards to whether you lease some, whether you sell some. So we were looking at that from a concept subdivision, taking it based on also our market analysis that we've done as well.
Deputy again.
Just a question to the director. About the aquatic centre, can you remind the committee, please? Have we done any planning on the aquatic centre?
For the north.
For this site?
We haven't.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you. Just looking at that map there, and I'm very supportive of the concept. We tried to get this moving last council. But can I just understand, because it is adjacent, I assume what is going to be, who bears the cost of managing the runoff impacts into Porters Creek? Have we factored that in? Yeah.
I would imagine that would be considered at DA stage in regards to what you can and can't do and how you impact for development. So if we got it to a subdivision stage, we said those areas are ready to be developed, surrounding properties in regards to what the biodiversity stewardship agreement says in regards to protection runoff, and would need to take that into consideration.
Can we just get a bit more information about that? And I'm not trying to cause problems, but as Councillor Eden will know, the old stormwater harvesting scheme that never went ahead. So there perhaps needs to be some, is it still on the books? Oh, stormwater harvesting scheme.
Councillors, I may be able to assist. So what Bill's talking to you about today is in your role as sort of looking at feasibility. So this subdivision design is so they can calculate a feasibility and a value. It's he's getting information about all the civils, and those civils would be how they manage stormwater and runoff and things like that. So how you manage the site more broadly is going to be a cost within the feasibility, but none of this is involved in the discussions for a DA or approval, purely to get to a cost as opposed to potential value, so you can land on a decision a bit which way you want to go with the site. There'll be a lot more work when you've landed on what you want to do with the site into then going into DAs and approvals like that. So,
Director, I got lost somewhere in that answer. So there is a cost.
Very comprehensive, councillor.
There is a cost in terms of managing that impact. Who has that cost been factored in? Who bears that cost, us or them?
It's a cost in the feasibility. So what you're looking at is the different options, and you're looking at sort of the money you get from each option compared to your cost to get there, and it's factored in as an assumption in the cost at the moment.
Okay, so
It's pretty broad at the moment.
At a future point, I'll ask the same question again. So
when you've landed on a broad option, then we delve down into more detail about how that option would exactly work, and then you get into the level of detail about some of those matters and how you resolve them.
Okay, no, that's fine, but I'm asking because we saw dollar figures up there, and what you're telling me is my question won't impact those dollar figures.
No, the work they're doing on the subdivision on the costs will have assumptions for our broader civil costs, which would include stormwater drainage and how we'll manage it. So it will be included in the cost you get when we get the feasibility to you.
Okay.
The dollars you saw up there at the moment are income, around how much income you get from different options. The cost is going to come through when we give you the more detailed feasibility next time you see it.
Okay, thanks. Anything else, Bill?
No.
Anything else? Well done. While all that was going on, Councillor Neal left the meeting, so we do not have a quorum. The last item was the Watervale item, and we were just receiving the report. So thank you, and I'll close the meeting at 32 p.m.